Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below. Hello everybody and welcome along to the PS4 side of the AOR Esports tournament. The tournament where it puts the best 10 teams out of each platform and see who are the best 3 teams to qualify to the live finals. I'm Jess, one of your commentators once again, and joining me in the commentary box, you all know him, it's PC4 F1 commentator AliK. Welcome along.
Thank you very much. Yes, good to be back. It's a nice novelty actually to have some midweek racing and plenty of exciting esports racing to look forward to.
Yes, and we had the Xbox One stream on Tuesday, which went really well. We saw some teams come into the cream of the crop, really, to be honest, and we saw Veloce take the top spot with CRG in second. And we possibly saw some teams that we weren't expecting to score high in the leagues actually score a lot higher than we thought. So we could see some shocks tonight on PS4 because we have 10 lovely teams which are definitely going to shake things up quite a lot tonight. Some big names from F1 leagues and some names that we don't even recognise. So it will be interesting. And we are starting tonight in Bahrain.
Yeah, Bahrain is an absolutely fantastic track, and I have to say the team aspect does add something a little bit different to it, which is going to be nice to see.
Yes, and the tyres available, obviously, we got tonight will be the red super soft tyres, which is the softest compound available, the yellow softs, and the white mediums. And the recommended strategy will be going on to the softs first of all, and then going on to the mediums, which is what most people did last time about. So that's the 5.3 kilometre circuit. It has 2 DRS zones, one at the start finish straight and one at the end of turn 11. So we're now about to head to the qualifying, and we are about to go through the teams of who's in which car. We'll go through the drivers in a minute, but let's just go through who the teams are that are qualified for this event and what cars they are on.
So if we start with Mercedes, then we have CPI Esports, which is, I have to say, not a team I've heard of before, but in Mercedes, I'm sure they'll be looking to make a name for themselves in this league with S2V Esports in the Ferrari and VP Gaming in the Red Bull, which is a team that I have heard of before and has a couple of drivers actually from PS4 F1 in it, and then Livid Racing in the Force Indias, and I'm sure everybody knows Williams Esports conveniently in the Williams.
Yes, William Roy, he's been doing very well in, I believe, PS4 F1, because I watched a few of their streams before I was prepping for those, and Williams on PC and PS4, they didn't have to choose their car. Obviously, they are a Williams Esports team, so it would be weird if they were qualifying on a different team. It would have been quite disappointing, so that is why they were given their team first about as well. Next, I think we got Ferrari. I think it is S2V Esports, and we got Ruben and Danny. 2 I have never come across before. I don't know which leagues they are in AOR. I don't think they're in F1, I don't believe, because I think you haven't commentated on them. But some of these guys are new, so it will be interesting to see, actually, if they could beat the top guys. We've already got the pole time of Davidos, which leads quite rightly to the Sauber team, as Davidos represents FAP Esports in the Sauber team. And I'm trying to remember who else is in the other FAP car. I think it's Sean, I believe, isn't it?
Yes, it is indeed.
So, yeah, FAP Esports was started on PS4 and did have quite a poor showing in Xbox One, and one person actually retired, and Limitless actually finished in 10th. So they're looking very strong in qualifying, so good to see. So let's move on to the next team.
So our next team is Renault with, I have to say, quite an interesting team name of Mercenary Esports with a combination of Alex and Curly. The Ferrari pairing from PS4 F1 that I'm sure many of you will be familiar with. It'll be interesting to see whether they can actually convert their lack of form in PS4 F1 into some kind of form in this slightly different format of championship, and maybe that's what they need to be able to shine. And then in the Toro Rosso cars, we have VGIA or Vodafone Giants, and they have a very, very strong lineup for this event with Nardi and VGIA Lucas, one of our title contenders on PS4 in the F1 League, lining up for them, which is, I think, on paper, probably up there with the strongest lineup alongside Williams.
Yes, I agree. So do watch out for these guys, actually, as Lucas was actually in contention for the championship in PS4 F1. I'm trying to figure out what teams we have not covered. We got the Force India, which is Livid Racing, and that's Onyx and Slimbo. So that's who they've chosen tonight. I think I've commentated on Onyx before, I think on a few leagues, but not this league, obviously. And they're in the middle of the pack at the moment, so I do expect them to see challenging for points, not quite for wins at the moment, but you never know. If they can keep up their consistency, maybe they could possibly be one of the top three, and it's important to get both your cars in the points in order to ensure that consistency, so be interesting to watch those.
Certainly is, and the consistency of within the team is certainly something that I'm going to be looking out for. I'm yet to see really a proper team event on PS4 on F1. On the F1 games, but this is certainly very team orientated, so the kind of dynamic within each team is going to be pretty interesting to watch as the season unfolds, because it's an aspect that you don't really look at in league racing particularly often. Although officially you are in a team, you race for a team alongside another driver, it's very much an individual sport really, whereas it'll be interesting to see how this develops really as a much more team focused event.
Yes, and I did see in Xbox on Tuesday that a lot of people were working together as teams, and I think that's why the Veloci boys actually shined properly on Tuesday, because they were able to work together, get move strategies, they win a party together, and it helped them. So I wonder how that's going to work for the other guys tonight. We've still got some more teams, I believe, which I need to get up on my phone. There we go. So next I think we've got Haas, which is a name that I can't pronounce, which is Anamoy FTR, which is probably a new team, which I haven't heard of. They're in the pits right now, so I can't really follow them. But that is Lee Finlay, or Lee Fine. I think he's in F2, I think, or F1. I can't remember. I think he's in F2 with FTR H Eagle now. I know him before, and he's set an interesting time. I think he's set his best time on the Supers. So yeah, that could be interesting in terms of strategy, because the super soft strategy actually do run out pretty quickly, but we haven't seen any much racing on the PS4 on this track due to on the new patch, because the tyre temperatures from Bahrain on season 16, I remember it was very hard, and I do remember some of your guys got a puncture towards the end, and I do remember watching that. So hopefully no repeats tonight, and we could see more people qualifying on the softs. I'm just trying to think who else we have missed out. I think we've got the McLaren boys. I think that is Race Clutch. I'm not sure we covered them. I think it was Hugo and someone else I'm trying to, and Alonso. RC Alonso as well. I think we covered it. I think we covered everyone. Oh no, Red Bull, VP McGrady and VP Daniel. VP Gaming, I think, are very big in the Project Cars world. And they do well in the PS4 Tier 1 leagues when I watch them anyway. So I wonder if they convert their Project Cars success to F1 success. So there we go. There's your lineup for today. It may not be the same for the 9 rounds that we got, because obviously they have up to 5 drivers they can choose from, and they choose up to 2 drivers a race based on which drivers can perform the best on that particular track, and that's why they've chosen. That's why you got the 20 grid lineup tonight.
Yeah, that's another interesting point to make about this season, actually, is the fact that for each team, the driver lineup can completely change from race to race. So next time out, we could be seeing we likely will be seeing a completely different grid to what you are watching this evening. But while we try and get to grips with all the different teams and all the different team names and who's driving for which team as it keeps switching about, please try and bear with us. We will do our best to try and inform you as to which teams people are driving for and the overall team standings, which is what matters the most. So bear with us while we try and get our heads around that.
Yes, we were a bit clueless at the start of the stream because it wasn't really updated and stuff. So bear with us, and obviously by the next few streams, whoever is commentating for the future streams, we will get an idea of what the teams are like. So yes, we got some lap time set on the board already with Davidos in pole position with a 1:25.9. The fastest I've seen in the esports tournament so far, the fastest I've seen in the esports and Xbox One on Tuesday was a 1:26.3. And I know the PS4 grip is a lot faster and a lot faster drivers as well. It can be different in terms of laps and getting your lap in. We've got about 7 minutes to go, and interestingly enough, not many people have qualified on the softs yet, which is what I'm quite surprised about, as I thought softs will be the best type, but I think a few people are going on the super softs so they can maximise their qualifying pace and then qualify as high as they can.
Yeah, there is some serious faffing about and procrastinating going on in this session. A lot of people on the medium tyres. So everybody just waiting for the final few minutes and then qualifying and probably going for the soft tyres. You can see everybody in the pits has got the soft tyres selected as well. So I imagine we're just going to be seeing an onslaught of lap times right at the end of the session and just almost ignoring what's going on at the moment with some, a lot of just time wasting and procrastinating on the medium tyres, really.
Yes, and making sure they set the best lap times as possible and make sure they get to the end of the qualifying, and wherever they start their best lap on, that's where they qualify on. So they don't want to burn their tyres up too much. I won't be surprised if these guys go on the softest compound available or the softs at the end of qualifying. Mediums, really, I think it's mainly just so they can get used to the track, know where the overtaking opportunities, because I think the last time most of these guys have raced in Bahrain is the start, well, pretty much the second round of season 16. So it's been quite a while. It's been pretty much in September, October time. So it's just getting a find of when they've been practicing and stuff like that. And most of them, they didn't find out if they got in till last week. So they only had pretty much a week to practice. But I wonder if some of these guys, if they knew they were going to get in anyway, did they practice beforehand? Or will they just gamble it and wait until they get announced? If I was them, I'll probably wait until they get announced, which is what some of them are doing at the moment. At 5 minutes and 25 seconds to go, times are pretty close already between pretty much the top 8, which is separated by a second already. Expect times to be closer towards the end as we get towards the sharpie end of the grid, and also when the tyres start to rubber up a little bit more. And we're still, I think the Renault boys are not saying a lap time. And I think Nardi hasn't set a lap time either. Nina's Brigade said he really needs to get their act together. I think most people are in the pits. I think the only people that are out in their out laps are the two Force Indians, Nardi, and also Sean in the Sauber.
I'd just like to draw everybody's attention to the fact we currently have a FAP Esports 1-2 in the Sauber cars, which is not something I thought I'd be saying ever in my time, let alone this evening. But yeah, the two Saubers going out with the super soft tyres very, very early, and ending up as a 1-2 provisionally. I'm not sure how many other people are going to follow them onto the super softs. Some say it might be a little bit of a suicidal strategy, but we'll wait and see. Fair play to them for being 1-2 at this point in the session, and will be very, very interesting to see whether they can stay there.
Yes, and for those of you that don't know, Sean is actually the PS4 F2 champion. He was crowned, I think it was last week or the week before. So he's looking to go into F1 next season. So if he really wants to get a spot in season 17, maybe this esports tournament can help him get a step up of qualifying with the big guys such as Roy and the Williams guys, and also Lucas and Nardi, which are quite big as well. So at the moment, his team is looking pretty much impressive. FDR as well. Lucas up there in 4th on the mediums, but mediums are 1:26.6. That is pretty good, but not the best tyre to start on. So he's going to make up some ground, but at least it's going to be probably most likely going to be a one-stop strategy with the soft to the mediums or the mediums to the softs. We don't have the overlay to show you tonight, but hopefully we will next week. It's gonna be tight. We have seen some very good moves on Tuesday, so we're hoping to see some very close battles today as well, as pretty much more people are going to probably give each other a toe and help each other out, because it's not really about the drivers, to be honest. It's mainly about the team. So are they going to just have team orders here? Are they just going to take a gamble for themselves and help the one that is doing well? Or are they going to fight their team? I think some of them are just going to let them free, but we'll just have to find out. And that is very crucial for a team event, is to help your teammate out and get as much points as you can. So if you have one teammate that's really high up in the top 5, but then you have one teammate that is very, very low, not scoring any points at all. That's still not going to be very consistent, so we'll just have to find out. 2 minutes remaining, and everyone is pretty much going out for their final lap. I'm just seeing which tyres they are on. Everyone's pretty much going out on the soft tyres. So like we said, our predictions coming true. I think not many people on the super soft. They want to get their best lap on the soft to get that one strategy working and avoiding that puncher. They must have been watching the F1 stream at the start of season 16 to try and avoid that puncher, I must say, Ali.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen so many punctures at Bahrain over the years. It's a little bit ridiculous. It's almost like the curse of Bahrain with the punctures. But something else to note is I'm slowly coming to the conclusion that this is a bit of a PR stunt from Fab Esports, to be honest. Every single other car in the field, all 18 of the remaining 20 cars, are on the soft compound tyres. They are the only two in the entire field to be on the super softs at the end of the session. So I think we can almost discount them from the race. They're just going to be moving roadblocks by the time we get into the race. But everybody else on the soft compound tyres. VGI Lucas is the one I'm currently riding on board with in the Toro Rosso for the Vodafone Giants team. And his lap looks like, at the moment, is coming together fairly well.
Yes, it is. It sounds very good, actually, these laps. They are putting down together quite well for terms of these guys, as Onyx has just retired from the session right now. So he is... not going to set a lap time at the moment. It's going to be very tight to get their laps in towards the end as well. So I just wonder how this is going to play out in terms of strategy as well.
1 minute and 20 remaining from this session then. Let's stay on board with Lucas as he's about to go through the final corner and run up to the line. He's very, very sideways out the final corner. What is it going to be for the Toro Rosso? Can he challenge the two FAP Esports drivers? And he splits them actually on the soft compound tyres with a 26 flat, which is a very impressive time on the softs. Let's see where Roy is going to end up. He's the other driver going fast for Williams Esports. Where is he going to end up? And he doesn't improve, so I imagine he's going for another lap.
Yes, as that's what most people are doing as well. I am trying to find someone else as well. Sean, I think is going on an out lap, but I don't think he's going to have enough time to get one in, as he's slowing right down, I think, by the looks of things.
Davidos going fast as well. He's still pushing on this lap. He has, 30 seconds remaining to cross the line on the super soft compound tyres. Can he consolidate his provisional pole position for FAP Esports going into the final corner? Again, his teammate's been bumped down into P3, but he can still salvage a pole position for his team as he goes through the final corner. Again, he's very sideways. Let's see if he can better that time of a 25.9, then up to the line, and it's a 25.6. So that, at the moment, is provisional pole by a whole 0.4 of a second.
Yes, that is pretty good for the FAP Esports team, a team that you probably weren't expecting to get a 1-2. I think Sean is still out, on...
He's on a lap.
Yeah, he's on a lap at the moment as he's actually just started one. So I think he's going to be the last one to cross the line, I believe, Ali.
He has. He's now been bumped down by both of the Vodafone Giants drivers. Actually, Sean has completely messed up that lap. So he looks like he's going to end up behind both of those Toro Rossos, who have put in absolutely stunning laps on the softs, as Lucas bumps down Nardi as well. So it'll be... Provisionally, at the moment, looks like we're going to have Davidos on pole on the super softs ahead of both of the Vodafone Giants cars of Lucas and Nardi on the softs, who are, I have to say, looking pretty ominous for FAP being that fast on the slower compound of tyres as well.
Yes, I think two of the Williams cars are coming in. I think they're not going to set a lap time. What about the VP guys? They're still out on the lap as well. Almost got caught out by the McLarens, so I think McGrady just went a little bit wider, so I don't know, but he's not going to improve. He's on a 129 at the moment, so I'm just checking. Is Alex on a faster lap? Nope, he's slowing down. So, and Sean, when I was following him, he was quite slow as well. So it looks like we have FAP on P1, and then we have the two VGIA boys in P2, so consistently VGIA takes it.
And I have to say, they are looking very, very good. The two runners rescued themselves at the end of the session for Mercenary Esports, or whatever rubbish they came up with as a name. P6 and P7 for the two runners, so that's not too bad a place to start at all. Hugo F1 flying the flag for RC up in P5. And then, actually something else to note, Williams Esports have had an absolute shocker of a qualifying session down in P10 and P15 for Williams Jim Roy, who is... yeah, one of the title contenders. You could still well win the title in AOR PS4 F1, down in 15th place, which is hardly what we expected to see.
Yes, very close qualifying session, separated between the 125s and 127s, and I wonder how it's going to go for the race, because some of them might be on alternate. I think the only team that's on alternate strategy is the FAP Esports team, and the FAP Esports team, I think they're going to be a surprise. They're going to be a bit of a shocker. There's a lot of FAP Esports fans in the chat, and quite angry that we're slanting them at the moment. But don't worry, we're not really. We're just quite surprised that they're P1 at the moment. So yes, it's good to get them back on the map, you know, as a team where they're not expecting to do well, but then they shock everyone else and go to the top. But they've done well in the other leagues, so it will be nice to compete with the other ones as well. I'm a bit shocked with Williams, to be honest, but yeah, should be very exciting to see how these 29 laps unfold.
Well, I have to say that was hardly the qualifying session we expected. I would have said Williams were probably the favourites going into this season, just as a whole. So to see them well down the order is, yeah, not what I expected at all. But I'll just run you through the grid then going into this race. We have Davidos on pole by almost 0.2 of a second from the VGIA cars of Lucas and Nardi, with Sean, the other FAP car, in the Alfa Romeo in P4, ahead of Hugo in P5 for RC, then the two Renaults of the Mercenary Esports team in P6 and P7. S2V Ruben in P8, ahead of CPI's Speed Barry in 9th, with the first Williams car of Tim in P10. Yeah, not a good afternoon for Williams at all so far. And then H. Eagle, Dam, Daniel McGrady, Danny MG, Roy, Lee Finley, CPI, Simo, Onyx, Simo Dude, and RC Alonso rounding out the grid.
Yes, a mixture of esports teams at the top and the bottom as well. And don't forget, the top 3 teams from each platform will get to qualify for the all-important live finals happening in May, with a secret location which we're not allowed to reveal to you just yet. So they're fighting for this, and also to fight for the really big prize at the end of it as well, for the AOR Esports tournament as well. You know, they want to have a pride of being the best of the best esports teams on F1 2018. But for some of them, they want the money as well. But for some of them, they just want to go out and have some fun, which I hope that's what most of them are doing anyway as well. So a mixture of tiers as well, which is going to provide some equal opportunity as well. We were expecting some of the top guys to go at the top of the timing sheets, but we haven't seen that today, actually. So it just goes to show Bahrain is very difficult, and we're about to go to the formation lap.
We are indeed. Let's see, actually, what tyres people have gone for outside of the top 10. That's often something that can have a pretty big effect later on in the race. And almost everybody's gone for the medium compound tyres, which I think, again, we've seen so many times in the past in AOR. The guys who start on the mediums outside the top 10 often become roadblocks later in the race and can sometimes actually come into play later on.
Yeah, and it should be fun. Sorry, my headphone just unplugged, so I couldn't hear what the last bit of your saying was. But yeah, a mixture of tyre strategies today. Obviously, a lot of people on the soft tyres towards the end there. I think on the top. Let me just get up the tyres for you. There we go. So only ones on the supers are the FAP Esports guys, like I said. Then we've got VP on a different strategy. One of the cars are on the softs and one car is on the medium. So interesting tactic here as they try to cover each other off. And I think that's the only team that are doing different tyres. So I wonder if one of them is going to go on for a longer stint, help the other teammate out so they can try and gain a position. We'll have to wait and see. Not many other teams are doing that. So I wonder if it can pay off for them.
Let us know in the chat then which team you are rooting for going into this one. I have a sneaking suspicion who everybody might be supporting in the chat, but we have 125 viewers almost before we start this race, which is very nice. So make sure you subscribe to the channel for the upcoming races. We have plenty of racing on AOR all throughout the week now, and obviously our main leagues on the Sundays as well. But it's a surprise pole position in the end from Davidos. But saying that, he has actually always been pretty good at Bahrain. Although from what I've seen on Twitter, he does have a habit of crashing quite a lot. So it'll be interesting to see how he holds it together in this race.
Yes, and it is a pressure of the AOR Esports, where pressure is pretty much higher than the normal AOR Hype Energy F1 leagues, and you think that you could, it's hard to be in at AOR Hype Energy. It is much harder competing at this level because there's a big prize involved. You get to go in the finals, and if you let one of your team members down, then you're letting the whole team down. So it's going to be tight, and I think a lot of these guys will probably be under pressure, probably slightly nervous as well. So best of luck to all the drivers tonight.
Here we go then. 5 red lights are about to come on, and there they are on your screen now. We have 5 red lights for the first round of the AOR Esports competition on PS4. It is the lights out and away we go. Let's see if Davidos can maintain the lead into turn 1. Looks like Lucas had a very, very handy start off the line, and he's already into the lead before we get anywhere near the braking zone for turn 1. Looks like he will have a clean run ahead of the Sauber and into the lead. And it looks like Davidos might actually drop another position to Nardi as well, and they will go side by side through turns 2 and 3. And Nardi actually been compromised on the exit, and Curly's come out of nowhere. He's overtaken the pair of them. He's looking to get past them into turn 4. It is 3 wide momentarily for P3, and the Williams dive down the inside as well. Curly spins. He gets hit by the Williams. That was front wing littered across the track at turn 4. It's 4 wide as well into turns 5 and 6. That was a right mess at the start. The Williams is off the track as well, and Williams' evening has gone from bad to worse as Lucas leads us away through sector 1.
Yes, Williams boys not doing as they expected right now, as they're still side by side going through the tight chicane, going through the tight turn 10-11, which is going to be quite hard to break yourself, as we're already seeing the Williams drop in again. The VP boys up into P9, so they have gained quite a few positions already. FTR has dropped it down to 11 as well. So it just shows the VGIA boys, same consistency of what Veloce have. So it's very, very good to see as AliK and Honest are trying to make a move down the inside. We've got the 2 William Esports cars directly working alongside each other. You can tell they're working alongside each other this race so far, and looks like we may see a few changes of front wing due to the collision that we had earlier on. So crazy opening couple of laps. The Hash driver is going past the 2 Williams cars, so he's up into P12. That's Lee finally, or whatever his name is. I think I think I saw one of the Williams drivers. Yes, Tim is now into a pit. Interesting turns of events here, but so far very clean from the top guys.
Yeah, a significant loss of front wing for one of the Williams cars there. Now Roy, the other Williams, who's been left out to dry, I think he's missing an end plate as well. So both Williams suffered front wing damage on the opening lap of that race. And because Roy was behind Tim coming towards the end of lap 1, he was forced to stay out, and he hasn't been able to pit to replace that front wing. You can even see visibly on the spectator cameras that he's missing a fat chunk of front wing, so he is significantly lacking in downforce. And he's on the medium tyres as well. It looks like he's going to get overtaken by Onyx here, and yes, he is. So Roy is really having a bad evening. Tim as well, and they are way off the back, well outside the points, and they are going to have to pull out some kind of miracle really to get anywhere near the front by the end of this race.
Yes, and we were expecting them to do well, but they were at the not at the top anymore. So it's a bit of a shame, but hopefully they can recover. We've seen a few guys that have recovered in the past, so we'll be interested to find out what happens here as well. Some quite tough battles from the VP guys on Curly. Curly still managing to stay out in the Renault, so looks like he doesn't have much damage at this stage at the moment, so that is all good as we got our first penalty, and that's from the VGIA boys of Nardi. So that is unfortunate for him, as but Lucas will get the fastest lap, so that's probably going to compromise a little bit. So possibly Nardi will probably help out his teammate a little bit more as well. DRS now enabled. We're going to have some tight entry going into turn number 1 with the Red Bulls.
Oh, there's a touch. Sean's round. Sean and Nardi have come together. Sean tried to dive down the inside of turn 1, completely hit the Toros, and now they're both getting swamped here by Speed, Barry and Ruben going into turn 4. It's 3 wide again, and Sean's race is really not turning out the way he would have expected after that good qualifying session. He now finds himself down in P5, and he is really struggling. I'd be surprised if one of them doesn't have damage. That was a lot of contact between the two of them.
Yes, I think unfortunately I wasn't able to catch that because there was another battle happening as well. It was that means Sean has dropped down to 5th, so that is a bit of a shame for him, as he's got to try and recover from where he was at the start of this race. He was P3, and now he's dropped it down to P5, so that'll give the other esports teams a chance to catch up. And Nardi again, I think due to his penalty, I think the pressure got to him.
Yeah, Nardi dropped a long way down with that contact with Sean. I'm not really sure what Nardi did to pick up that penalty. He must have run very wide out of the final corner. I'm not aware of whether that's a particularly strict place for corner cutting or not, but it was a very odd place to pick up a penalty. And it, well, probably playing on his mind a little bit as Sean dived down the inside into turn 1. They came together on the exit of turns 2 and 3, which is, well, when you're trying to get back on the track, back on the power, and one of them probably just lost traction slightly and ended up hitting the other, and they was completely sideways across the track, and that caused a huge concertina effect, and everybody was together going into turn 4, and I'm surprised actually it didn't end worse than it did.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised as well, to be honest, so hopefully they can recover and get a few positions gained, as I think Alex, and one of the other Renaults has just almost lost position to the Force Indians, and the Force Indians is trying to get the last point as well, and Sean on those super soft tyres, due to those incident he's had as well, Sean has got to probably pit a bit early, because obviously the spins has made a little bit of contact as well, and they do over here as well, so he's got to be careful not to get that puncher as we go through to potentially the pit window pretty soon.
Yeah, just look at that. It's an absolute nightmare evening for Williams so far, down in 18th and 19th, 20 seconds off 17th place. This really is not their evening so far. Back at the front though, Davidos is in a bit of clear air really. He's in no man's land almost. Lucas has completely dropped about the front, as we probably would have expected, on the much better tyres. He's driving away from the Sauber, but Ruben is about the same distance back from him as well. But as soon as those softs start to become faster than the super softs, which you would expect to happen fairly shortly, the super softs really do not last particularly long around here at all. So you would imagine both of those Saubers will likely start falling off the pace fairly swiftly, and the soft runners will really start to come into their own.
Yes, I think the soft runners will probably start to come to the end about laps 12 or 13 or so, possibly towards halfway through this race as well. So I think that's what Davidos may have a little bit of a disadvantage compared to Lucas and Ruben up front as well, and possibly some of the guys that pitted already, they're going to have to do a remarkable recovery to make sure they get their tyres onto the end, as well as Curly, Whirly and McGrady were having a little bit of a fight towards turn 1 there. I think Curly managed to make that stick, and also RC Alonso was fine. The other Renaults, so other Renaults are getting involved in battles left, right and centre tonight. A lot of scrabbing towards the midfield, but obviously towards the front of the field, like we saw in Xbox on Tuesday, they're keeping it clean and still managing to pull away ever so slightly with Lucas and Davidos, so be interesting in that.
The two VP cars, the two Red Bulls, are running nose to tail. McGrady is on the mediums and ahead of his teammate on the soft, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of team orders coming in there fairly swiftly, as Curly actually managed to clear one of the Red Bulls and move himself up into P7. He had such a good start to the race. He moved himself up into P4, looked like he was challenging for P3, almost P2 at one point, and then he had that little bit of contact at turn 4, which pushed him down a fair way, and I think he's managed to avoid getting damaged because his pace has been pretty good at this point in the race. He's slowly working his way back through the field, and he's flying the flag for the Renault team at the moment. He's well ahead of his teammate Alex, who's way down in P16.
And he's on a pad as well, so compared to what most of these guys, they've been on the wheel for most of his life, and possibly Bahrain on the pad is one of the hardest due to tyre degradation and tyre wear gets bad pretty quickly, as we got the Red Bulls challenge for position again. I'm quite surprised they're not letting each other through as much, but it seems to be that they're doing so right now because they don't want to avoid any more penalties. And another Williams driver getting a penalty as well, so definitely bad to worse from the Williams office at the moment. They're 18th and 19th again. Like we said, Curly Whirly still on the back of that pretty much 4-man train for P4 and probably 5 for P3. So we've got Curly Whirly, we've got Nardi, we've got Sean, and we've got Ruben as well in the Ferrari. And I think we've got the Mercedes in that train as well. It's going to be very tight going towards turn 10 when they have to brake just a little bit earlier and just avoid that contact. But they are in this tournament for a reason, and they've been landing to do that so far.
Curly, he hit the back of Nardi fairly hard into turn 4, so I wouldn't be surprised if Curly's actually got a little damage. He has also fallen back slightly from this train a little bit. I believe at some point during all of this, Speed Barry for CPI in the Mercedes has got ahead of Ruben in the Ferrari for S2V, and Sean, well, these guys are actually all pretty well holding together, and Sean, I'm surprised his pace hasn't dropped off. He's doing very well considering the tyres that he is on at this point in the race, but there is a bit of a train now developing for P3 with several cars involved in this battle now, and this is all allowing Davidos to drive away from these guys a little bit and make the most of his super softs before they really go off.
Yes, and most importantly, it's allowing to keep VGIA right at the top with Lucas in pole as well, and I think we have one of the Toro Rossos was challenging for Sean's position of P5, but things better a bit for now, and I think...
Oh, it's a Red Bull spins. Damn, Daniel spins. The two Red Bulls come together. The two VP cars have hit each other, and Daniel, I think, going for a move on his teammate, has somehow in all that ended up spinning and dropping a few seconds back. So big drama already, only 7 laps into the tournament. We seem to have a bit of turmoil at Red Bull already.
Yes, and hopefully not like in real life. I think they get on a lot more in real life than they do on this game, I must say. And it's very important not to have collisions with your teammates, because otherwise it's going to cause a lot of trouble in terms of actual team loyalty in this championship. Because you're meant to be helping your teams out. You're not meant to collide into each other. So they probably might have to decide which team member is going to get the most points out of anyone, and which team member is going to hold the other esports teams right behind them, because otherwise it's definitely going to cost them.
Nardi now is all over the back of Sean for P5. Nardi really hasn't had the best start to this race at all. Starting up in P3, he's only gone backwards really, and picked up that 5-second stop go for whatever it was that he did. I think it was extending the track too much at the final corner. It was a very odd one. It was very early on in the race, so I can't imagine it was 3 warnings or whatever. So it's probably a one-off, slightly harsh penalty from the game. But we'll see if he can get past Sean now, as Alex is the first person to fall victim to the penalty system. And Sean actually doesn't have DRS as far as I can see, so this should be a fairly easy move for Nardi into turn 1. And the Toro Rosso VGIA driver should be able to get past very, very swiftly. And I think Sean is running out of things to fight with now, as his tyres really start to fall off the cliff. And Sean moves down into P6. And Nardi slowly climbing his way back through the field.
Having that positive mindset, Ali, I think. He's not letting a negative mindset of what happened in his collision earlier get to him, and that's very important, because if you do have a negative mindset throughout this race, then it's definitely going to cost you, and you may make some more angry moves as a result, and you really don't want that to happen, and that is what Nardi is doing right now. And I think Alex is going into the pits for a set of the medium tyres, so I think he's going first to go on to a stop as well. We could expect the super soft runners to pit in around about a couple of laps time as well, so that will be the 2 fat boys that will be pitting just before the soft runners, as well as their tyres start to die down.
I think Davidos' tyres have really fallen off the cliff. He's now dropped to 5 seconds behind Lucas. That gap was reasonably stable before, and now Speed Barry is directly behind him as well. That gap is only 0.8 of a second, so his pace really has dropped off in the last few laps. Sean as well is under all kinds of pressure from Curly, who again, similarly to Nardi, is working his way back through the field and is doing a fairly good job of it at the moment, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Davidos come into the pits within a few laps really. He is really, really struggling for pace at the moment.
Yeah, and Bahrain plus her tyres do not mix if you go on those softs for quite a long time. As Davidos is going into the pits actually, I think he's going to go on to a set of mediums to do the 1 stop, so that's going to let everyone else back up the field, as we got Curly Whirly and there's Sean going at it into T1. Curly Whirly gets a better run, and he gains a position from the FAP Esports driver. So well done to Curly there. What a great move there. It just goes to show the softs are getting onto their own, and Sean will be probably having to pit at the next lap. Sean having not much of a choice there to try and not get the position, mainly because of his tyres, and obviously because his teammate pits, they don't share the same pit box. So if they were in different teams, they obviously would have pitted pretty much at the same time, but unfortunately I think he did fell victim a little bit due to those tyres. But I think we also got McGrady not that far behind Sean either, as he's probably going to try and make a move in the next couple of laps as well, because I think Sean will probably pit. As yes, I think McGrady's going to challenge. He's got DRS and he's gained another position as well, up into P6, and we got the other Red Bull driver following suit as well. Yes, he is. Both Red Bull drivers are P6 and P7, so if Sean is not thinking on his mind right now, he's got to pit. And I did see someone... Oh, it's him!
Oh, he spins. Yeah, Sean is round, and he's, down in P13? Now he's got a puncture, actually, yeah. And, well, I think that was kind of inevitable. How long he stays out, and he's spun again. And Sean's race, after such a good qualifying and a reasonable opening to the race as well, he's just had an absolute nightmare. And I think that is the end of his race. I think he's probably going to be overtaken by his teammate before he even gets round to the pits, which shows just how much time he would have lost there. And I have to say that is pretty unfortunate for Sean. He's all over the shop. He's holding up Simo as well. And he spins again, and he hits the Mercedes. And he's all over the shop at the moment. He's now driving backwards through the final corner. The man just needs to get into the pit lane before he causes any more damage. Everybody's going past him. Tim needs to avoid him as well. He just about manages to do that. And Sean slowly crawls back to the pit lane, leaving an array of carnage in his wake.
Yes, and it just goes to show, don't push your super softs more than it's needed, to be honest. If Sean pitted a lap earlier than when he was intended to, actually a few laps earlier before his teammate, then I think none of this would have happened, and he would have probably gained into the top 7 or something like that. But one of our first punches of the session. I think I got a little bit of a commentator's curse, so won't say no more. I think everyone now is on either on the mediums or the softs, as we've got Lucas still leading by comfortable margin over Ruben. 6 seconds already, so he's doing quite well, redeeming himself from the PS4 F1 issues that he's been having. So it's good to see him up there as well. And also Ruben S2V doing quite well, but he's also got the Mercedes, the CPI boy of Speed Barry, challenge him as well. He's going to get DRS. As Ruben, I think one of the first soft runners going into the pits. So is Lucas as well. So a few laps after the super soft runners. I think that's going to allow the Toro Rosso of Nani to challenge Speed Barry for a position. Can he quite make it? They tried to cover it off just tightly. They almost touched each other, but they kept together, which is very good. And I think Speed Barry is managing to hold on to the lead for now, as Nardi is still over the back of him and possibly going to try and make the move in turn 4 as well.
Yeah, Nardi needs to be a little bit careful. That's the second time he's almost made contact through turns 2 and 3. The last time it dropped him a couple of positions when he had contact with Sean, and it almost cost him again there, as Lucas pitted actually quite early. So I was surprised at him coming that early. He seemed to have so much pace and so much of a buffer to everybody else. I would have expected him to stay out a little bit longer and just make the most of the pace that he had, but he looks completely in control. He's come out in 5 seconds worth of clear air, so if he can get those mediums up to temperature, he looks set to win this race pretty comfortably. He has just been in a class of his own all day so far. He took the lead pretty much as soon as we got off the line, and he's looked imperious ever since. So at the moment, it looks like Lucas is nailed on for the victory here.
Yes, I'm just getting the leader gap so I can see how close the battle is. I think down to P pretty much from where Lucas is to the lead is about 15 seconds. So pretty much the guys in front at the moment on track are going to come up behind Lucas. So yes, he's definitely played his cards right in terms of strategy. He knows he's going to get the medium tyres all the way to the end of this race. He can keep it calm, keep it collected, and also make sure that his teammate follows suit as well. This teammate is going into the pits. So is Curly Whirly as well. The VP boys to the BB boys staying out. Obviously they're on alternate strategies, and McGrady comfortably in P2 there, as we got the Haas and the Red Bull trying to fight it on the inside there into T1 as a H equal there in P3. Maybe it's starting to get to a point that the mediums are coming to their own now, as H equal easily goes past Daniel.
Yeah, the FTR cars are actually looking pretty good at this point, both on the medium compound tyres and really mixing it with the midfield here. And it looks like if they can put in a decent soft stint at the end of this race, and they could be in for a decent result here. As let's see where Nardi has come out. Actually, he went for a pretty bold undercut on Speed Barry, who's I was surprised actually to see stay out. And Nardi, unfortunately for him, has not come out in clear at all. He's behind the Mercedes of Simo, who is actually Speed Barry's teammate for the CPI team. So I would imagine Simo is probably going to do his absolute best to try and hold up Nardi here, which is going to cause the Vodafone Giants driver all kinds of problems on this lap. That has not worked out for him at all.
Considering the two guys at the front, we got Speed Barry and obviously Nardi, who were fighting together as well. And possibly Speed Barry was probably in a party with his teammate. And they're thinking, right, I got to hold up the Toro Rosso guys. They're probably one of the favourites, and that's what they're going to do. And I think that's what the Mercedes is doing, and they're doing quite a good job. I think we just got the Williams not that far behind the Toro Rosso as well, so he's got to gain some pretty much more pace, but he should do because he's on newer tyres. As the other Mercedes is going into the pits, and I think the last of the soft runners are pitting now, with the VP boys pitting as well. Is Slimbo going to pit? Yes, he is. And I think Roy's going to pit in the next couple of laps as well. So pretty much everyone has done their pit stops. And it will allow, I think, Lucas to go into the lead. I think all the soft runners have done their pit stops, sorry. Just the medium ones left to go, with MC Grady taking the lead on track. And I wonder, interestingly enough, with the VP boys, where McGrady's going to come out in the rest of the field. And I wonder if he's going to cover with his teammate Daniel a little bit.
As Speed Barry is actually miles ahead of Nardi, who's being held up by Tim, and they make contact again. I've said it before, Nardi... That's the third time in this race he's made contact out, and he's actually ended up behind Tim, who pitted 11 laps ago for a set of mediums, having lost his front wing on lap 1. So Nardi has not worked his strategy particularly well at all. He's very unlucky, actually, in the way that he came out between two cars, behind the Mercedes of CPI Simo and in front of Williams Jim Tim, who had his tyres up to temperature and was able to get past pretty easily. And actually Speed Barry's come out miles ahead of Nardi, but interestingly is only just ahead of Curly, who's got his tyres up to temperature. So let's see if Curly for Mercenary Esports can get a move on and get past Speed Barry.
Yes, he's right on the back of the Mercedes now, not getting the slipstream that he needs for now, but he's really close to Mercedes, so I won't be surprised if he gets into the slipstream towards the start-finish straight as well. He's running a very good race as well, Curly Whirly, even though his teammate is not right now. At least at this rate, the Renault team are possibly going to get points, which is what you possibly need to try and get the best result possible. Let's just ride on board with Curly Whirly as they go through the start-finish straight. I think Speed Barry is not going to get some DRS, so this is probably going to be an advantage to Curly Whirly as they're going side by side, going to T1 once again. A very good move that Curly is trying to do, and he easily gets past Speed Barry there due to the DRS and more grip as well. So what a move from Curly Whirly, as I think Roy's going on for his pit stop as we see some change of moves down front as well. So yes, Curly Whirly's next challenge is possibly to try and catch Davidos, the fat esports guy, and if he keeps this up, he might do so.
Yeah, Curly really is putting in a shift at this point in the race. He has worked his way through the field very nice appointment on the opening lap, having lost a couple of positions, but he's doing very well at this point in the race. He's closing in rapidly on Davidos and Ruben, who actually have much older tyres than he does. So Curly at this point looking pretty good in this race, you've got to say. Much better than his teammate who's languishing down in P17. Almost fighting with Sean, who's right at the back of the field after that dramatic exit with that puncture, which was, I have to say, quite impressive. But at the moment, it still looks like Lucas is set pretty much nailed on to win this race. Nobody's able to challenge him, really. I think that gap between him and Ruben is 9 seconds now. So
wow.
At the moment, Lucas looking pretty comfortable.
Yes, he can concentrate on running his own race, really, and make sure he fights to the end and doesn't get any punches. But at the moment, it's looking like it is okay. So all smiles for the VGIA team, and wonder if Nardi's going to get into the points to make it a little bit more consistent. A lot more teams spread out in the PS4 tier tonight as well. We're not seeing much of the same teams in the top 10, apart from Ferrari. Both of their Ferrari boys are both in the points at this stage, which is very good to see. But obviously we still got the medium guys who are still to pit as well, and McGrady still leading by 1.7 seconds. And we got Alonso not that far from Danny as well. So I wonder if they're going to get track position as they go through this as well, because track position, if they get it before the pit stops, it is definitely very crucial in Bahrain, because it's very tough to overtake in the best of places.
Yeah, track position is quite a big thing. I'd say tyre life is much more of a bigger thing, because we've already seen with Sean the dramatic effects of extreme tyre wear and how it can severely affect your race. So looking after your tyres and being on the freshest tyres possible is certainly what you want to be looking for around here. Overtaking is not too hard. There's plenty of straights, a lot of DRS and slipstream available, and dirty air not affecting you too badly. So I would say this is probably one of the easier tracks to overtake at. The dirty air isn't going to affect you too badly at all when you compare it to a Silverstone or a Spain or a track like that. So yeah, I would say tyre life and strategy advantage is, to me, more important than track position around this track. As Speed Barry picks up a 3-second time penalty, which is a big shame for the CPI driver, because so far in this race he's been looking pretty good.
Yes, as he's had no penalties and then he got the first one, but maybe he was concentrating on helping his teammate that much, and possibly he was... but to be honest, some of the track limits around this circuit is a little bit harsher, less harsher than other tracks. Interestingly enough, Curly Whirly has gained about 5/10 on that lap to Davidos, so he is definitely flying on those medium compound tyres. The grip that he is having is absolutely amazing, so I won't be surprised if he makes that move pretty soon, as Davidos is on 3 laps older tyres compared to Curly Whirly. So all Curly Whirly has got to do is make sure he doesn't get too much under pressure between that guy, and make sure he can get that overtake stick if they want to get his team into the points tonight, even though Alex is not going to. We've been following Curly Whirly a lot during this race, but that's because he's been doing some very good moves and scoring some very consistent points, and he's going to go into the DRS again with Davidos unfortunately not in a DRS anymore, so he's going to possibly gain less speed, but Curly Whirly chooses to stay put at the moment, but again he's going to get into more in the DRS straight as well. In a few laps time we will see the medium guys pit, and then we will definitely see the grid order shape up to see who really is going to set the pace from pretty much the rest of the season, and can they keep it there?
Yeah, Curly has some mega pace at this point in the race. He's diving down the inside of Davidos. He's getting impatient, cannot wait for turn 1. And actually, he's going to have to wait for turn 1. All he's done is push Davidos offline, which should actually be enough for him to be able to easily coast past down the main straight. CPI speed barrier that might be able to get involved as well. He's got a huge slipstream off that Renault, and he's going to split them down the middle into turn 1. It's 3 wide momentarily with Curly on the inside, and speed barrier going for a double overtake round the outside of Curly at turn 1. What a move that is, past 2 cars in 1. Can Curly do anything to fight back into turn 4? No, he's turned his ERS down. What a move from the CPI driver.
Yes, that was absolutely insane. He was down in P7 and now he's up to P5, and he was able to capitalise on everybody else's mistake and able to gain a position. That is very important, and that is very good if you're third in the train, to be honest. You just have to wait for the right opportunity. If anyone makes a mistake, that is the chance, and that is what Speed Barry has done. But he's got to be 3 seconds clear of Curly Whirly if he wants to keep that P5. But if he goes in the top 5, that will be a massive achievement for the CPI team, as obviously his other teammate, CPI Simo, is in P19. So they're still got to be up the grid a little bit, but they've got some catching up to do if they want to gain in the top 3. So that is very good stuff, as I think we just seen Tim pitting, as well as Onyx and Alonso. They've gone onto the soft tyres until the end of the race, and also McGrady and Eagle as well. So pretty much Lucas is now in the lead due to everyone else pitting, and the order is pretty much going to stay the same for the last 10 laps or so, and we could see some interesting battles happening towards that time as well. It is pretty much going to be even Stevens from then on, because all they got to concentrate on is the battles, as we got the Red Bull, I think, trying to join in on, I think, Davidos as well. And we also got another freeway battle happening with Curly Whirly as well, as Curly Whirly has just got past the Red Bull VP McGrady as well. So he's on the fly, and he's not that far behind Speed Barry as well. Absolutely incredible from the Renault driver.
As Daniel actually looking around the outside of Davidos, who looks like he might want another, barges the Red Bull off the track round the outside at turn 4. And they're going to try and go side by side through turns 5 and 6, and Davidos closes that one off quite nicely. Is Daniel going to have a look down the inside into the hairpin of turn 8? Yes, he is. And again, Davidos closes off that space very aggressively and very cleanly as well. So the FAP Esports driver managing to maintain P6 for now. The Red Bull of VP McGrady, though, has come out on the soft compound tyres directly behind Curly and Speed Barry. So he's going to be on a charge between now and the end of this race. I would not be surprised to see him get past those two very quickly.
And I think looks like the Red Bull is going side by side again with Davidos into the very tight first fast pit of set to 3. He does that remarkably well, up into P6 on those newer set of the medium tyres. So that's definitely going to help him here as well. It's starting to show that tyres, like he said, is very important going towards the end of this Grand Prix. And when you pit is crucial. And also some of the guys on the soft tyres, like McGrady, that is really going to come into his own, because they're on softer tyres, and he's probably going to try and catch up to Curly Whirly as well. So I wonder if Curly Whirly is going to challenge McGrady to a position, and I wonder if Daniel is going to help McGrady gain that position. And I think Daniel has just lost position to Davidos, I think, of the FAP Esports team. So I think, no, yeah, Davidos is in P6, Daniel is in P7. I wonder what McGrady's going to do about it as well. 3 wide again into turn 4 as H-Eagle almost gained a position back.
Yeah, it's getting very busy with this cluster of cars. There's 5 or so cars racing with each other for P7 at the moment. Nardi right at the back of this train must be pretty frustrated down there on the mediums with fighting out with soft compound tyre runners. Both of these Haas cars, the 2 FTR cars, have driven the first into this race very well, and the position they're in now is very handy indeed. On the soft compound tyres, fasten all the medium runners around them, and they should be working their way through the field pretty quickly as we get closer towards the end of this race. It'll be interesting to see whether they do end up working together as Daniel tries to get past Davidos into turn 11. And succeeds in doing so. Davidos trying to fight back, but I think all he's doing is holding himself up, making himself vulnerable to the 2 Haas cars. Davidos dropping down the field at an alarming rate, and he dives down the inside again, though, into the penultimate corner. That was a pretty optimistic move and didn't work out for him just. But it looks like we might have quite a cluster going into turn 1 here.
Yes, and 3 wide or 4 wide doesn't mix usually, so this will be very interesting if they can keep the car together, because we really don't want to see a lot of contact. We got Lee, Eagle, Davidos, all fighting for the same position, and the two VP boys as well. This is going to get very spicy. Davidos, first of all, is going to try and get past the Red Bull down the inside. Can he do it? Not quite at the moment, as the Red Bull almost went off the track, and I think so did Davidos for a minute as well.
Whoa, big contact. Davidos spears across the track. I think he took one of the Haas cars with him. That was a huge crash, and Davidos is still lying across the track between no, he's not. Is he? Yes, he is. That was quite something. I have no idea what has gone on there. An enormous crash has occurred, and yeah, Davidos has dropped well down the order. I thought that was lag for a second, but it looks like the two Haas cars have survived. I thought one of them was involved, as Danny's got past H Eagle. I think it was H Eagle that was involved with him, and yeah, that was quite some crash. It really came out of nowhere, actually.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Unfortunately, as soon as I went to the driver in question, the broadcast camera changed a little bit to I couldn't see what the crash was, so I had to go on board there. So apologies that we missed that, and that means H Eagles lost another place to the McLaren driver of RC Alonso. I haven't talked much about him this race, but he's pretty much running his own race. He's trying to see if he could stay in the points and get that last point for the championship, which means the five-way battle for pretty much 5th place, I think, it's now turned into 3, with McGrady, Daniel and Lee Finley, and also the Toro Rosso of Nardi as well. He's joining in the fight as well, so this is going to be very tight. But we got Curly Wurly and Speed Barry making the move into turn 1, with the Red Bull joining along suit. Can Curly Wurly gain another position? Yes, he can. He just done that perfectly there in C1, and he is now in P3. Lee Fine is now up to P6 as well. Crazy stuff happening on these last couple of laps. If you're still watching this, please do, as I think we've got the Red Bull trying to challenge in turn 4, but couldn't quite make it at this stage, as they're going towards the S section now. It's going to be very tight towards the end. I can't call who's going to get that position, to be honest. It might be due to be decided on penalties. Don't forget, Speed Barry does have a penalty as well, so McGrady could possibly gain P4 of the battle, say like this, Ali.
Yeah, McGrady looking very fast. The lead runner on the soft compound tyres after that incident with Davidos and one of the Haas cars. So McGrady, but actually both Red Bulls, the two VP cars looking pretty good at this stage of the race. Daniel fighting away with Nardi for P7, who's trying to get involved with Lee Finley as well, who should really drive away from these guys given the fact he is on a softer compound of tyre, as Danny gets past Daniel, who's spun actually again. So that Red Bull, he's had a bit of a nightmare race really. He had contact with his teammate earlier on in the race, which caused him to spin. I believe he's just spun again there, completely of his own devices, it looked like, in turn 11. That is very unfortunate for him, and what was looking like a good evening for VP suddenly got a little bit worse.
Yes, they were P5 and P6, and I think due to that contact they've had earlier on, that has definitely costed them so far this race, but they can bounce back, I think, possibly towards the end. They got, I think, McGrady and Barry challenging for position once again, but looks like Curly Wurly's pulling away from the rest of them. Speed Barry manages to get past the Red Bull of McGrady, now up into P4, and he's still closing up to Curly Wurly, so the battle for P3 is not over yet. He wants that position on track, even though he might not get it due to penalties anyway, and it's gone bad to worse for the VP guys. For Daniel, he's just got another 3-second time penalty. That's definitely going to cost him right now, but I think that's going to help the CPI boys gain the move. They're looking like they were almost side by side then, but unfortunately the camera quite off as well. Lucas, though, look at the gap between Lucas and Ruben, 12.0 seconds. He is absolutely pretty much been not in trouble this whole race. He was overtaking overtaking people in lap 1 and lap 2, and pretty much stayed there for pretty much the whole race, and he saw other battles like this go up in front of him, so he must be loving life right now.
Yeah, he's in a world of his own, really, out in front, 12 seconds ahead of this mayhem, really, that's unfolding behind him. McGrady is getting very patient, sat down in P5. He is desperate to get past both Speed Barry and Curly to try and chase down Ruben before the end of this race, but he is really struggling to get past both of these cars. Speed Barry getting DRS from Curly in front is just making it so difficult for the Red Bull to get through. I think those are about to start lap 23 here, that he should certainly be close enough on this lap. This time the Mercedes doesn't have DRS, and McGrady is able to breeze past into turn 1. Is Speed Barry going to fight back? No, not quite. And McGrady just about, at long last, gets that move done, and now he can set his sights on both Curly and Ruben, and certainly at this point P2 should be his aim in this race.
Yes, that's what his aim is right now. Curly Wurly 1.9 seconds behind Ruben. Ruben's been running his own race as well, and once he sees Curly Wurly in his mirrors, he's going to possibly don't know what to do, but he is faced up with those challenges before, and Alonso and Danny got involved in another battle. So we got one of the S2V cars battling once again. Haven't seen much of them this race. They're going side by side in one of the most trickiest corners to overtake in sets two. They're doing it quite nicely, in fact, as Danny's up into P8. Alonso almost getting a switchback up behind as well. So very, very tight. McGrady still catching up to Curly Wurly as well. But let's watch as Alonso got a little bit of a slide there going towards the back end of turn 11. Probably braking a little bit late there, but managing to save it a little bit. The pace is not there at the moment to try and catch Danny on this occasion. Maybe the start-finish straight, it could change up a little bit. And I wonder what Danny's role playing on this occasion, as he knows Ruben, his teammate, is in P8, and he's also got one of the big hitters, Nardi and Lee, also closing up as well, as Danny's I think around about 2.5 seconds behind Lee and around 3 seconds behind Nardi. So if they can catch up to them, this could be a fighty end of this Grand Prix, I must say. But yeah, as Grady's still trying to do his best, and we got the McLaren, I think, trying to fight once again with the Ferrari side by side once again, and that was easy move work done from the McLaren driver of RC. Alonso now up into P8 and Danny now up into P9. And interestingly enough, Alex has gone to the pits right now, so maybe going for fastest lap, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, Davidos holds that at the moment, and the two FAP Esports cars have had a bit of a nightmare. So good for them early on. They put in an absolute shift in qualifying, set some very decent times, got themselves right up the field. They were a little bit of a roadblock during the race, but unfortunately, through, well, two major incidents really, with Davidos having that crash just before turn 4, and then Sean having that dramatic puncture earlier on, has really cost them in this race. It looks like they're not going to be getting anywhere near the points, as McGrady now is right on the back of Curly. So before long, I imagine he'll probably be getting past into turn 1 and setting his sights on Ruben for P2.
Yes, look at McGrady though. His tyres are on the softs, and he's still managing it quite well. And the soft tyres managed to last about 12 or 13 laps in Bahrain. So that is going to be very, very feisty towards the end if he can make his way past. He's still, I think he's definitely going to be in DRS range. Yes, he is, coming towards the start-finish straight. Getting very close there in the final corner of sector 3. And I think he's going to possibly take the right-hand side here. Curly Wurly's going to do all he can to try and defend. But he almost didn't put up a fight there. But they're still side-by-side running into T1. And McGrady takes it, which I think was expected due to his tyres that he was on the softs. And his next challenge now is Ruben. I'm sure he's going to catch up due to him, Ruben, being on much older tyres, and he's been on it for 14 laps now, which obviously can make it through to the end, but they will start to die pretty much with a few laps to go, and McGrady's are just beginning to gain a little bit more grip now as the track is rubbing up. So maybe we could see a podium on the cards for VP if he can get past Ruben. You never know.
Yeah, I think McGrady's certainly going to be well on the back of that Ferrari before the end of this race. He has 4 laps or so remaining. And with, well, Ruben will probably be feeling the pressure a little bit now. We've seen Lucas drive away from him all race. Now he's got a charging Red Bull right behind him. He's had a bit of a quiet race, Ruben, for S2V, but he's been very, very solid, I've got to say. And it looks like he's going to come home with a decent haul of points if he can keep it clean in this battle that looks like it's about to ensue with McGrady for P3. But if Curly can stay with McGrady over the next few laps with the slipstream and the DRS, then he could well get involved in that fight as well. So don't discount Curly just yet.
Nope, as I think we have a lot of Curly Wurly fans in the chat as well, and they want them to do well, and quite a lot of fans for the other teams as well. I think also looking at the Williams drivers, they were down the bottom towards the beginning of the race, and now they are in P13 and P14, so making some swift recovery at least, and they're staying together, which I know they're working together as a team, and it'll be interesting to see how the Williams guys do in the PC version on Saturday night with the heavy hitters already as well, and the PC side is looking very strong this year, so I'm looking forward to that on Saturday. But a few more laps to go. McGrady is ever so close now on Ruben. This could be his chance to pounce and get some points for the VP guys. The other VP guy is battling for the last point as well with Onyx as well, and I think we got the Williams guy, if I could just go on board with him ever so slightly, as he's just gone past I think Slimbo as well, as he's not that far behind Daniel. Is Daniel on? I think Daniel just got the move on Onyx. Yes, he did. So it looks like Daniel, unless there's penalties involved, I think he has got a few penalties. I did see a few penalties from VP, I believe. He possibly could get P10. We'll just have to find out. But meanwhile, the battle for P3 is getting ever so feisty now. We don't know who's going to get the final podium position, on P2 at least. for these guys. So it's going to be very tight. I think it's going to be the tightest race we've seen so far this week in the esports tournament, and it's definitely going to shake up the teams, so should be interesting.
Curly's really got to hope that these two start battling quickly. If you look at McGrady, he's closing rapidly. Curly really not that far back at all, just about clinging on to DRS there. So Curly is too early to discount him at this point in the race, but now McGrady closing right up to the back of that Ferrari, and he will breeze past. So we start lap 27 of 29, and it's almost no competition for McGrady for VP in that Red Bull, defending the inside into turn 1, and he's able to move ahead pretty comfortably into P2. He's 14 odd seconds behind Lucas, so any contest for the win is well out of the question, but well, it's a pretty solid drive from McGrady, you've got to say. And now Ruben is under pressure from Curly, whose pace throughout this entire race has looked very, very solid. He's got 1 lap fresher tyres in that Ferrari, so this battle is far from over just yet.
Yes, and Ruben hasn't been much pressure this race until now, and Curly Whirly is gaining every minute. And I think the reason why that McGrady was able to get that medium to soft strategy well was because his other teammate was on a different strategy, was on the soft to mediums, and was able to help cover his teammate. That's why VP McGrady is such in a strong position going into the closing stages, and that is what the team tournament is all about. Curly Whirly might challenge Ruben in the next couple of laps. We'll just have to find out. We only got a couple of laps to go, so he's getting closer than he was the last few laps. So this could be really fighty between Curly Whirly and Ruben to see who's going to get the final podium spot. These two quite even. I don't think they have any penalties, so it's going to be a fight to the finish for these two. And Lucas, I think, due to the battling that's happening ahead, he's already showing a dominant performance. It's now 14.2 seconds, despite McGrady being on much softer tyres. So, and we just, I think, see one of the Mercedes going wide almost, as we got Curly Whirly and Ruben going side by side to T1. Curly Whirly easily getting it done there and getting the job done. So that is pretty much P3 back for him as well.
As Lee Finley as well gets past Nardi into turn 1 finally. At long last, the Haas car finally makes use of his fresher tyres and softer tyres as well, moves ahead of the Giants car of Nardi up into P6 and potentially chasing down Speed Barry for CPI and that Mercedes for P5. It remains to be seen how quickly he can close that gap in the remaining lap or so of this race. But a solid performance from FTR coming home with 1 car in P6. I think they would have had another solid point scorer as well with H-Eagle, who unfortunately had that crash with Davidos into turn 4 and dropped himself down into P17, which is really going to hurt him. But something else to note is just how strong a drive this has been from VP McGrady. He has gained 11 positions from his starting position in this race. That really is some drive.
Yes, the team, I think, are going to be pretty happy with his result, and that's probably going to help him get some more momentum going into the team's championship. I wonder if they're going to choose to keep him on for the second round, or maybe they're going to get some new teammates. We will have to find out. And I think if I was one of the VP boys, I would definitely keep him on for the next round if they want to play strategies like that, because he's been absolutely insane. They can race as many rounds as they want as long as the team is there. It doesn't matter, the driver can't make the race, as long as some drivers make the race. And McGrady is definitely going to be one of the favourites, I must say, and so is Lucas, as we're on the final lap of this Grand Prix. And like we said earlier, Lucas has been on a roll from start to finish, making the move early on. And
what a dive that is from Lee Finley. Sorry to interrupt, but he's just gone for a banzai down the inside as turn 1 so far back. A last ditch dive really on Speedberry. That came out of absolutely nowhere. He's looking down the inside again into turn 4. This time he goes to the outside though. Unexpectedly, Anadi dives down the inside as well, very, very aggressively. And this is going to get very, very messy into turns 5 and 6. That was unbelievably aggressive from the FTR driver in the Haas. I have no idea how they're facing in the right direction. That was an unbelievable dive. And whilst all of that is going on, I think Lucas is rounding the final few corners. He's just entering the final sector now. I have to say, it's been an absolutely imperious drive from the Vodafone Giants driver in this race. He's got the lead off the line into turn 1 and hasn't looked back since, really. Pitted into clean air, has had absolutely no challenge. He's already weaving before he even gets to the final corner. He has a gap to P2 of 13.9 seconds. He has been completely in a class of his own today. Up to the line, the Vodafone Giants driver, Lucas, will win the opening round of the AOR Esports Championship from VP McGrady in P2 and then Curly Whirly surely now will come home in P3. The battle to watch, though, is Lee Finley on speed barrier into the final corner. Lee Finley dives down the inside again very aggressively. They will be side by side up to the line. The Mercedes is very, very wide on the final corner. They are going to be side by side up to the line, and Nardi takes it as well, actually. So the speed barrier dropping 2 positions right on the line. What a breathless finish that was.
Wow, what a crazy last couple of laps, and just goes to show for these guys it's not over till the checkered flag falls. And VP got a 5-second stop go for, 5-second time penalty for an unserved stop go. Onyx got one as well. It was pretty much close from really towards the midfield there, and Ruben dropping from P3 to P4, so he's dropped a few positions there. So Lucas wins, McGrady second, and Curly Whirly, what a drive from him. A guy where we usually see him in the midfield is gaining the podium for his team, which is definitely what they need right now, considering his other teammate is in P18. So a very strong start from the Renault driver of Curly Whirly, and we can see some good things to come for him. But don't forget, he is in F1 after all, so expect him to challenge the best of people. And yeah, VGI Lucas takes the win, and it's definitely going to help his team. I don't know what it's going to go like in terms of the team's championship, but I do know it's going to be very, very tight towards the front. And I think, to be honest, I think VGIA might claim the top spot, but we'll have to wait and see as they add them up in the next couple of days.
Yeah, but a commanding performance from Lucas. I think looking at the grid, potentially other than Roy, that's probably what you would have expected. He was just so much faster than everybody else, drove a solid lap in qualifying, or solid enough to get him where he needed to be. The lead soft run, which proved to be pretty crucial to the result he got in the end, but he was just completely unchallenged for the entirety of that race. He drove away from Davidos when he needed to, and he was just never looked back since. So confirmation of your final results then. VGI Lucas won for Vodafone Giants ahead of VP McGrady for the VP team in the Red Bull, which was a very, very impressive drive from him, from P13 on the grid, ahead of Curly Whirly in P3 for the Mercenary Esports team, ahead of S2V Ruben in the Ferrari, and then Lee Finney had an impressive P5 after that crazy bonkers final lap, ahead of VGI Nardi, the second Vodafone Giants car, ahead of CPI Speed Barry, RC Alonso, Danny MG, and Williams Roy rounding out the top 10. A sole point then for Williams in the opening round, and I have to say they will certainly have been expecting more, and he finished ahead of Dam Daniel in P11, Slimbo in P12, Tim, Onyx, Hugo, Davidos, H-Eagle, Alex, Sean, and Simo rounding out the finishes.
And everyone actually finishing, which is a first for this tournament. So well done to everyone for keeping it clean, and I think well done to Sean for not giving up and still driving, even though that he was so many seconds off the pace. He still wanted to race and pretty much gain some finishes that he needed to gain some experience as well. So a very, very good race from the PS4 guys, and it was a pleasure once again to see some action in Bahrain. I am very looking forward to seeing what the PC side are going to do. Like we said, we've seen how the PC side are shaping up as well, and we have Williams there as well with the likes of Timp as well, and I think we got Red Bull Racing as well. So I wonder how that's going to play in terms of that. And I do believe, Ali, the next track on the calendar next week for PS4 is the Chinese Grand Prix. Turn 1, very, 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 very tight to get the start right. It's a very long run as well. Very tight corners. And I wonder which drivers are going to be picked for that race.
Yeah, that's certainly something to watch, but I think China will, like this race, be pretty interesting to watch. I'd like to think it'd be a little bit closer for 3, but I think we still have plenty of racing to keep us entertained throughout the field. But anyway, that will do it for this evening's stream. Thank you all very much for joining us. Make sure you tune into the PC stream on Saturday night, and then for our regular Sunday evening leagues. You know the timing, 7 PM for PS4, 8 PM for PC, and then 9 PM for Xbox. So thank you all very much for watching, and we will see you later.